Hey VC, I hope you're well. It's been, I think, 2.5 weeks since my last video, so I thought I might show you what I picked up since then. This is what I'm listening to. Hope you can hear it. This is Cavern of Antimatter. This came out, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's basically two of the guys from Stereolab. This is their new project. It's I think it's about 70 minutes of music actually, split over 3 records. It's very krautrocky. So if you like Stereolab or you like krautrock, I'd certainly recommend it. I've been listening to a lot of krautrock over the last few weeks. I went to see Michael Roth from Noi and Harmonia play down in London. I think probably about a month ago it was. It was a great gig, so, and since then I've been on a bit of a krautrock tip, so this has come out just at the right time. I think this will be one of the albums of the year actually. I've really got into this, so yeah. If krautrock's your thing, give it a go. Right, one of the new albums, just very quickly. This is The Cult, Hidden City. This is their new record. I think came out 6 weeks ago. If you like The Cult, you'll like this. It's more of the same. I think they put out 2 of the best rock albums of the 80s in Love and Electric, particularly Electric. I think it's a great record. I went to see them live actually last week. They played in Birmingham, and you know, it's just, you know, does exactly what it says on the tin. You know, it's just big guitar riffs, that distinctive Ian Astbury vocal. You know, he pretty much wails like a banshee, doesn't he? You know, and live as well. You know, just channeling his inner Jim Morrison throughout the night. So yeah, if you like that sort of stuff, I'd recommend the album. Yeah, good tunes. It's split over 2 records. It's a nice package. Right. Okay, used records. I bought this from a mate's record shop. This is Herbie Hancock, The Prisoner. It's a record that I've been after for a little while, but just never seen it about. You can see there, it's on the Blue Note label. 1970, very much of its time. Just a great record. Been really enjoying this. Once a month, I'll meet up with about 8 or 10 blokes. We meet up in a back room of a pub to play records and drink beer. Basically, that's what we do. Yeah, so throughout the night, you probably get, you know, everybody turns up with a box of records, and you might get to play sort of 4 or 5 tunes, whatever. But my point is that the guy who set that up, you know, we've been doing that for a few years now. He's got his own record shop, so it's a bit of a distance away from here, so it's probably about an hour's drive. So I don't go too often, but he knew I was after this, so he put this aside for me. So yeah, nice record. Right, and at the same time, I picked this up, Donald Byrd, Royal Flush, also on the Blue Note label, albeit it's the later Black Note label. But yeah, this is a nice record. This is early 60s. He actually gave me this record, and the reason being I was going to buy it, and there's a crack from the hole just into the vinyl. It doesn't affect the play of it, but obviously it's because of the condition he wasn't able to sell it, so he just chucked it in. But and this copy will do me, to be perfectly honest. I like Donald Byrd, but I prefer the later stuff that he did with the Isley Brothers. That's my personal taste. But it's still a nice record. But I say this will do me. This copy will, you know, unless I see a really nice copy really cheap, you know, I'll stick with this. Right. Now last Sunday there's actually 2 record fairs local to here. We have one every it's every 4 months, I think. It's quite a big fair. So I went there on Sunday morning. I only picked up a couple of things though, I must admit. Probably wasn't in the mood, or didn't see what I wanted or whatever, but yeah, I picked this up, the Afro Blues Quintet +1. This is mid to late 60s jazz. It's a sort of chilled out, laid back, groovy jazz, you know. Think of Ramsey Lewis, Wade in the Water. It's got that sort of feel to it. You know, you can hear the band talking to each other, and you know, tambourines and hand claps, and just a laid back organ over the top. Yeah, it's nice. I paid too much for this though. I think this isn't necessarily an expensive record. I didn't pay a lot, but you know, I could certainly have got it cheaper. I think I just got a bit carried away. Basically, I mentioned before that in the summer, my wife and I went to Colorado. Yeah, we were there for a couple of weeks, and we're travelling around, and obviously, I was obviously buying records on the way around, and I picked up a 7-inch by these guys, and it contained 2 of the tracks off this record, and I played it quite a lot with it. I took a portable record player with me, so when we were staying in our cheap digs of the night, I was you know, playing various records, and that was one that got a lot of play, you know. So I think when I saw this, you know, all those happy memories of sunshine and the Colorado scenery come flooding back to me, you know. So made me part with my money a bit too easy, I think, but there you go. It's on the Mirror label. A nice record. I think these guys put out another probably 3 or 4 albums after this, late 60s into the early 70s, and I'll certainly try and pick them all up. You know, if they're similar to this, then yeah, I'll certainly try and seek them out. Right. One other thing that I picked from that fair, Milton Nascimento, and the album's called Travessia. This is a compilation. Compilation, I think, from '78. I think the music was recorded in the late 60s. He's a Brazilian musician, so it's got that Brazilian feel to it, sort of very laid back. Yeah, singer-songwriter. I don't know much about him, to be perfectly honest. I didn't know much about him before I bought it. There's a guy there that recommended this to me. It was only cheap, it was only a £5. You know, I think you'll agree that's a great cover. So yeah, I think this is actually a French compilation. All of the writing on it is in French. It's on the Accord label. Yeah. If you see it, pick it up. As I say, it's a cheap record, but I think I'll probably look out, see what other stuff there is of his to check out. Yeah, it's a nice record, really enjoyable. Right. Okay. On the afternoon, I went to a different fair. Went straight from the one to the other. This fair is local to me, it's a few miles away, and it's on the first Sunday of every month, so quite lucky in that every month I get to go to a record fair, you know. But this is Chico Hamilton, the dealer, from 1966. It's got introducing Larry Coryell on guitar. Yeah, a really nice album. I didn't know much about this before I bought it, I'll be honest with you. I'd read about it, I never heard any of the stuff off it. I think it's a big favourite in the VC, this one. I put a picture of it on the Facebook page on Sunday, and there's a lot of positive comments there, so on the back of that, so clearly a favourite. It's on the Impulse label, as you can see there. Considering this record's 50 years old, the sleeve and the record are pretty much perfect. I don't think I could find a better copy, to be perfectly honest. Saying that though, these Impulse record covers, I think they're pretty much indestructible, aren't they? I think, you know, they're like the Volvo of record sleeves, I think, you know. But yeah, real sturdy things, you know. So you never see one in bad shape, I don't think. But yeah, nice record. But I think many of you know that. Right. I also picked this up. This is Emmett Rhodes' Mirror. Now this guy fascinates me. He made 4 albums in the early 70s. I've got this, and I've got his first album. It's just a self-titled record. Both of them are great. A great songwriter, very much in the vein of, well, similar to the style of Paul McCartney. You know, that sort of effortless pop songwriting. On these records, he plays everything. All of the vocals and harmonies are him, and he's produced it as well. You know, incredibly talented, and just, you know, a great songwriter. And why he stopped making records, or why he didn't sell more, I suppose he didn't sell enough records, I suppose, but why he didn't sell more records at the time, God knows. These records are never expensive. This cost me a tenner. I think you'll find them cheaper than that, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, lovely records. If that sort of thing's, you know, your bag, I definitely recommend it. He's actually just released a new album, I think just this last month, which is over 40 years after his previous album, which is incredible. You know, it's just such a shame that somebody so talented was just sidelined for so long. I don't know the whys and wherefores. I'll have to look into it really, but the music is, well, just fantastic. You know, so if that sort of big star, Badfinger, Paul McCartney-esque songwriting is your thing, then check this out. It's on the Pink Probe label. I really like that label actually. I know that the Four Tops put a few albums out in the early 70s on Probe. I actually think that their albums on Probe are better than their Motown albums, if I'm totally honest. I think Music of the Mind and Keeper of the Castle were both put out on Probe, and they're my two favourite Four Tops albums. Very funky, obviously great harmonies as well, but and cheap records as well. So yeah, so far for me the Probe is a good label, you know, and relatively cheap as well. Okay, as you were talking about the Four Tops, it's one of their ex-label mates, Motown, the Isley Brothers. I mentioned obviously meeting up with the lads once a month to drink beer and play records. Well, one of the guys is a dealer as well. He does the fairs, and he was at the one on Sunday afternoon, just selling a load of stuff off cheap. Excuse me. Just really clean records, not necessarily particularly rare, but just, you know, just in great condition. He was selling them all off cheap. Everything was £2, so I picked off several off him. You know, this is one of those, the Isley Brothers Winner Takes All. Now, when it comes to soul and funk, the likes of Stevie Wonder, Sly Stone, George Clinton, Curtis Mayfield, they're the guys that get all the credit, and quite rightly so. They wrote and recorded some wonderful stuff from that sort of period. But I'd put the Isley Brothers in there as well. The late 60s and early 70s albums, well, perhaps into the mid 70s, those records. There's some great stuff in there. Good songwriters. I love Ronald Isley's voice, very distinctive. As is Ernie Isley's guitar playing. You think about that first tone guitar sound on That Lady, pretty much perfect. You know, I can't think of a better, more distinctive guitar sound than Ernie Isley's first tone playing on that record. Yeah, so this is later. This is 79. I've never really been tempted to look at their latest stuff, late 70s, early 80s stuff previously, because it's £2. This is a double album. It's in great condition. It's on the Orange Epic label. Being 79, it probably leans a little bit more towards disco than their other stuff, but still very funky. Perhaps more in the Earth, Wind and Fire vein than some of their early stuff, but yeah, if you see it, pick it up. I say it's only £2. Nice cheap record. Okay, and finally, Rahsaan Roland Kirk, Blackness. This is early 70s as well. The reason why I picked this up is because it's got a great version of What's Going On it. A few other covers on there as well. I think this is a big favourite in the VC. I've seen quite a few people show this over the last couple of years. I personally think it's a little bit patchy. Some of it is great, but some of it just doesn't work for me. If you can blow it, this guy pretty much does, you know. So whether it's you know, whether it's saxophone or flute or kazoo or comb and paper, I don't know, whistles, everything's on this record, you know. So, and some of it works, some of it doesn't, but it's worth it for the good stuff. And this is a lovely copy. It's in great shape. It's on the, actually you can probably, somebody will tell me, it's on the Silver and Orange Atlantic label. Obviously I see a lot of the Plum Atlantic and the Green Atlantic. Not familiar with the Silver label. Perhaps somebody can tell me what that's all about. But yeah, anyway, that's a few of the things that I picked up. I hope you're well. I'll see you soon. Cheers.